Also,
yeah, he's got one scratch on the other side. One's in the subtle. One scratch in high school. And then they got the strike. So he's just destined to be broke. I told him that's a game plan to be broke for 25 years. Yeah. It's terrible. My daughter's in Carolina. She's a freshman now, so she loves it. So right next to Bates. Bates is still there. Bates was the coach.
one year on campus for mandatory and then off campus.
Yeah. I lived on campus 4 years. This is who I was. Green Hall, RIP.
Yeah, that one's, there's a lot of them. A lot of those from that era are no
They started
longer.
tearing down last week.
Yeah, they finally started.
Oh, no, they should have built this. What'd you call them? Yeah, I'm around the whole time.
Gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Coach, can you give us an opening statement about tonight's game?
Yeah, pretty straightforward. The team that played better won the game. They appeared more prepared, but I think that was a result of, Gavin puts a good swing on a pitch. It's kind of the third time in a row he beat our guy that particular way. And then a couple things don't go our way. And it kind of, got emotional there, a little more emotional than it usually does. But for a proper reason with the situation. But, again, I think the basics come of, they played better. And even though we didn't bring our best, you're within striking distance against their guy there at the end of the game.
Thank you. We'll open up questions for AJ and Dylan right now. First question over here.
Dylan, what did you have working well for you tonight?
I would say just kind of breathing and calming down and trusting my guy behind the plate and just really feeling through what he was going through and just trying to match our mindsets up. And I think it worked well tonight.
Question right there.
For both players, what gives you confidence that you all will be able to bounce back tomorrow and be prepared by the time first pitch rolls around?
AJ, can you answer first?
Yeah, for me, the fact that we've done it before. Like, we're not new to this. Obviously, we've got some of the best hitters in the country, so yeah, we've done it before.
Yeah, I would say the same. And the guy on the mound for us is proving himself. So
Right down here.
AJ, I know this was the second straight third inning that was kind of rocky. Was this similar to Florida State or different? And how did you kind of try to work through that today?
I mean, you just kind of keep throwing pitches. I think it was a little different. Yeah, you just keep throwing pitches.
Any other in the back?
Matt Tominey from World Baseball Network. AJ, tough coming into the first inning and what you had to adjust, and also with Scott reaching on a fielding area by your shortstop. How do you just feel that the defense needs to uphold and limit, 3 errors tonight, and what lies ahead for tomorrow?
I mean, it's nothing like too serious. Like, it's not that serious. Like, we got to fix the problem or anything. We just got to play the baseball we can play.
Any more questions for the student athletes? One more, right down here.
For both guys, your coach said that the game was maybe the dugout was a little more emotional tonight. Was that unavoidable in some ways, or is that sort of a disappointment to kind of get here and have it happen?
Dylan, can you answer that first?
I wouldn't say it's a disappointment, but I would say it kind of catches you to a surprise whenever you get to this stage, I would say. But I wouldn't say it's a disappointment, and I think we'll be right back in the dugout just like we normally are tomorrow.
Okay. AJ and Dylan, thank you very much for your time. Okay, we'll open up for questions for Coach.
Tony, kind of the same question been asked to players. What gives you confidence that you guys will respond the right way tomorrow?
I think we can definitely play better. I mean, that's one thing. And then, yeah, this isn't a traditional series against a SEC opponent or just a good opponent, whether it be Illinois or everybody else that's on our schedule. But, you go through the season and you welcome competition for a reason. It'll make you better in a few different ways. So you find out different ways to respond, and you can either get frustrated that tonight went the way that it did, or you can get more determined. And we've got guys that have done that in the past a lot where, determination kicks up, play kicks up.
Right behind.
Tony, that's 3 errors in 2 of the 4 games. While in Omaha, and you had only done it once the entire regular season. Can you put your thumb on any reason why defense has maybe been an issue here?
No, I think, there's certainly been a few quirky plays. I don't even know what happened on the ball up the middle. There was a clean hit by Appel. I don't even know what happened, if it hit the bag or whatever it did. So, guys have put the ball in play against our guys, and they're going to continue to do that. We don't quite have the strikeout type of staff that we did last year. We get our fair share, but guys put the ball in play, and they found some holes tonight, as did Florida State, and also there's been some unique ones, to be fair to our guys. So I think it's about getting familiar with the ballpark, which by now our guys should be, and then just playing ball. And like I said, I think tonight. Maybe a little bit more credit to the game than you should give it, which is crazy to say based off the crowd we had. But I think that's a true statement.
Okay, we go right here.
Joe Healy, D1 Baseball. Have to imagine that there's no one but Drew you'd want on the mound in this situation with your backs against the wall, just given his experience and his demeanor.
Yeah, I think we like any time he gets to throw for us. It's kind of been that way. since his freshman year, and the fall was slower based off how he entered the program. He was recovering and then hasn't looked back. And there's been some ups and downs, but it's not like it's been a roller coaster. He's been a blessing to have in the program as far as the approach he brings to the dugout or just the facility in general and how he works. And, he's usually when your leaders embody what you got going on and it's a positive. I didn't say that appropriately, but when your leaders have the right characteristics, it usually bleeds into the rest of the team in the dugout. And again, he's an unselfish kid that likes to compete. And I think that, again, has kind of bled throughout the rest of the dugout, especially with younger guys that have learned from him like D'Eloy.
Right over here.
Hey, Tony, what's the benefit of making their bullpen work the way you guys did late, and does it remind you at all of that second game against Evansville?
A little bit. I mean, I said earlier, as crazy as it is, that Evansville game, was a little bit good for us. This time of year, you're only going to be able to go on a streak for so long. And I think you need to be reminded every now and then again of certain things you need to do. That Evansville game did that to us, and this was similar. We were within striking distance. We were able to see what they had available in the bullpen. But, A&M's got some guys that are unused, and I'm not even sure they've announced a starter tomorrow. So they're not going to run out of guys, but it certainly helps to have an idea of, who you'll face and to stay in the fight. I mean, ideally, this is a 3-round bout that you're in, and, every inning has some weight to it when the whole thing is finished.
Tony, you guys saw Prager in the SEC tournament, and he was pretty effective tonight, even though you guys scratched out 8 hits. What made him good tonight?
The change of speed factor is his bread and butter, and it's not like he did not do that in Hoover. I think the difference was they played a little bit better defense behind him, and then our guys had to play from behind. And not only was it, from behind on the scoreboard, but again, I think a little bit of a downer, early in the game with where we were at. Having said that, we were in pole position several times to knock him out, earlier than we did. And, it kind of seemed to be a theme on offense. Just one more quality at bat or guy on base could have altered some things or changed things the way they use their bullpen. But nonetheless, I mean, the guys did do okay at the plate. It's just you can't separate the at-bats from the rest of the game. You've got base running, you got defense, you've got pitching, and, of course, you got the hitting as well.
Ryan?
Tony, you mentioned the emotional part of it. In a game this intense, what do you do? How does the team reel that back in when it needs to be reeled in?
I think you just play baseball and, make sure that you don't put so much weight on how big the crowd is or the extra cameras and things like that you lose sight of just some fundamentals or important things that go on in the game, like communicating or focusing on whatever the certain task is. So it's true, and whatever you're going to be talking about, simple's better. So I would kind of summarize it by saying that.
Right down here.
Tony, how was it a tough decision to not put Inslee in center tonight? Was it a close thing, and would there be a chance it could be out there tomorrow?
Yeah, there's a chance tomorrow, and it was close, and you kind of weigh your options. Again, at the very least, I mean, where I grew up in Missouri, I had to watch my dad coach. Single elimination is not appropriate for baseball, based off sample size and things like that. So, given the fact we potentially have 2 or 3 games to play, wasn't too comfortable with the idea of maybe him pushing it after a couple days of non-game action. And of course, he's got the fighter mentality. So it was a difficult decision. And I would say you go back to the hotel, it's probably one of about 7, 8, 17, 18 that I could have made better. But it's what we did, and didn't work out. We didn't play well enough tonight, but he certainly had some great at-bats. We'll see what he's got going tomorrow.
Okay, in the back.
Peter Bernhardt from the Council Bluffs Nonpareil. Question about Marcus. First College World Series appearance for him tonight. Came in against the top of the lineup. What did you think of his work tonight, and what have you seen in his development since coming from Iowa Western?
Yeah, no, he's matured a lot. Obviously, a fantastic junior college and set up over there. And we thought he would get more development as a freshman, but he just didn't quite stay healthy. and there's so much talent over there. He came in, being a kid from the north, very little experience, a lot of two-way time. He's swung the bat for us some. So he's come a long way on the mound, and the way we kind of judge him is basically just how the ball's coming out. He's either throwing it with conviction or he's not, and he was tonight. And again, I wouldn't give credit in any inning for management stuff on my end, but he did his first job, and then we kind of went quick to the bullpen on him. It would have been interesting to see how well he could have thrown the ball, but the exciting thing is he's available, in the future here for us.
Okay, one more question for Coach right here.
Tony, kind of a big picture thing. When you take in this atmosphere, soaking it in, and tickets are being scalped, and it's, the popularity, and you've talked about it, the popularity of college baseball is undeniable. There's also kind of this dynamic that our attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. When you think about some of these games and how long they are, how do you kind of relate the popularity of college baseball at a time where a lot in the lengths of these games with the attention spans that we all have that are shrinking?
Yeah, no, I get it, and I think the 20-second clock has been productive, but I'm not so sure people wouldn't come to the park anyway. Heck, everyone's attention span is brutal because of what we hold in our hands all day long with our phones. But, man, this thing has turned into a monster. The draft is shorter. There's fewer minor league teams. There's more resources that these kids see, and I don't want any scouts to slash my tires, but it certainly makes sense for a lot of guys now to go on to school. And I mean, Grahovac is the size of probably some of the trucks that are on that campus down there. And the guy behind him is bigger. And you look at our infield, not one of those four guys looks like an infielder other than Blake Burke, kind of looks like a big first baseman. So, man, these little kids, but also adults, have these guys that, you could go pay a ton of money and watch the Braves play. But you can get right up close to these guys, and they're the next guy on the Braves or the Phillies or whatever it might be, and then you sprinkle in the constant drama all season long that you kind of only get in MLB in the playoffs. So, like I said, it's turned into a monster, and a lot of it is because of the celebrities that I get to throw BP to, or that we get a stress about getting, Charlie Condon out or whoever it might be. So I think you could make it 2.5 hours. You can make it 4 hours, which if it's a big game, it's probably going to be 4 with the commercials and all that BS. But I think you show up and you have your hot dog, and if you want to have a beverage, you have a beverage, and you yell stuff at me if you're wearing maroon, and the orange people, yell crazy stuff at the other team, and I don't know that you'd want it any other way. Obviously, we'd like to win tonight, but pretty damn good stuff. Unfortunately, we don't get to enjoy it like you guys do. We got to try and do our jobs, and we certainly need to do it better than we did tonight. At least I do.
Coach, thank you for your time.
Thank you all.
Coach, congrats on the victory tonight. If you can give us an opening statement about tonight's win.
Yeah, great ball game. Certainly thought we played really well for the most part. We got a lot of timely hits. Had some really good at-bats against some really good pitchers. Tennessee's got a great pitching staff, very diverse pitching staff. I thought Prager battled through some things. And Stewie was awesome. Evan was Evan. And Caden Kent just continues to play outstanding the back half of the season. So it's one win. We can't make it anything more than that. Still got a ball game to win. He's got a series to win. So just kind of like the regular season.
Thank you, Coach. We'll open up questions for Evan Caden right now. We'll start 1 and 2 right there. Then we'll come over here.
Richard Zane, Texags. Caden, I was hoping you would take us through that at bat in the 7th inning and the home run, and then also what do you attribute this incredible postseason run you've been fortunate enough to go on?
I think it's attributed to the support that I get, and the people that believe in me, the people that have my back and I can count on, and people that I can, like my parents or my brother, like I can look to the stands and they can give me they can pound their chest like, you got this. That puts a lot of relaxation on my mind, kind of to ease down. Anyway, that at bat, it was a 2-2 slider, and I don't know, he hung a slider. I was able to get it.
Jacob Richmond, Lone Star Live. Caden, I wonder if you could kind of expand on what does it take to be ready to step up in an opportunity like this, and what is it like for yourself and some of the other younger players like Caden Sorrell and Gavin Grohovac to come up with these big hits and the biggest stage in college baseball?
Yeah, I think we're even though they're young, I think we're past the young phase. Gavin Grohovac is so mature, so is Sorrell. They've had so much experience. They're good baseball players, and their brain works super well. So their ability to come out here and play is amazing. Shoot, I forgot what you said first. I'm sorry.
What it takes to be prepared.
Oh, yeah, what it takes to be prepared. Baseball is a frustrating game, so the consistency and the time that you put in, it's not always shown out on the field when you play. So the countless hours in the cages sometimes turns into an 0 for 4 when you go out on Tuesday. But it's just the repetition, man. You're stacking days on days, the compound effect, and you just got to keep pushing through it.
Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll try to get everybody here.
Brian, College Station Eagle. Caden, two questions. What makes this team so good at two-strike hitting? And second, what does it mean to you to be able to have the performance you've been having, filling in for Braden, kind of taking up the mantle for him while he watches?
Yeah, two-strike hitting, we don't have a two-strike approach. Our approach the whole time is swing at strikes and take balls. As hard as that is, that's what we do. That's our mantra. That's what we fall back to. It means a lot, especially when you're playing in front of these fans. The 12th man is amazing. You've probably heard it. You're probably tired of hearing it. But they're real. They support us. They're just as a factor in winning games as we are.
Jackson Reyes, Omaha World Herald. Evan, you come into the game after Tennessee hits the back-to-back homers and momentum's maybe shifting a little bit back towards their side. Can you just talk about coming to the game and that big of a moment and then shutting them down for the rest of the game?
Yeah, it's just something that I've kind of been doing all year. Just kind of try to give my team the best chance to win. That's what pitchers are there for. And Max tells us all the time, if some guy comes in and doesn't have a good outing, the next guy can't do that. And so our job as a relief pitcher is to come in and pick the guys up in front of us. And just coming in that opportunity it was awesome just because the atmosphere was crazy. And it was College World Series. Like, everything's cool about it. So just staying present and going pitch to pitch is something that worked for me.
We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4.
Ben Peck, NBC College Station. Caden, did you get to, I know you talked the Oregon Grand Slam, you kind of talked about how you were able to soak that in a little bit. Didn't know if this one you were able to because you really got a hold of it. And did you say anything to Coach that you were going to hit a bomb out there like you did?
No, I didn't say anything, Coach. I don't want to. That's not. I'm not that confident, man. But no, I was able to. Yeah, right on the bases, I was able to take it in. The bullpen was going crazy. The fans are so loud. These fans are amazing, man. I love playing in front of these fans. They help us out so much, and so much credit to them.
Okay, right here.
Tyler Shaw with KBTX. Evan, I know you've been in big moments and big stages before, but just
what was your mindset, and just how did it feel out there getting to close a championship series game?
Mindset was just to win. Do anything that I can to help this team win, and that at the end of the day, that's what all the postseason is about: is doing things and doing my best ability to give my team the best chance to win. And so when I get the opportunity to go out and pitch, I just want to throw strikes, limit free bases. If they get hit, they get hit. Like it's baseball; it's going to happen. So you just got to keep going, pitch to pitch and strike to strike.
Okay, last two questions for the players here and there.
Carter Carls, 247 Sports. Evan, 7 of the 8 outs you recorded were strikeouts. What was working for you in that regard? And then at 46 pitches, how are you just feeling about potentially pitching tomorrow or Monday, if not tomorrow?
Yeah, I just mixing pitches and throwing everything in the strike zone. It's kind of what I can do. That's kind of what my strength is just making sure I can throw everything for strikes and keeping hitters off balance. That's kind of what's been working for me all year. But as far as tomorrow and the next day, it's College World Series. I'll be ready to go. There's no doubt in my mind that I'll be ready. I know Coach Slosh will have me up and ready to go, but I'll be up ready to go.
Last question.
Matt Towerty from World Baseball Network. Evan, also you guys had 17 strikeouts tonight, and similar to the previous question before, what was just working with you tonight, and with some of the breaking pitches you utilized, and also just having Jackson behind the dish that commanded all you guys today?
Yeah, having him behind the plate he just gives us so much confidence, just because we can throw any pitch we want to, wherever we want to, and knowing that he's going to work as hard as to block it up or keep it in front of us just to give us a chance. But having him behind the plate's awesome. But like I said, it's just mixing pitches, throwing strikes. Really, I mean, it's hard to I guess get a pitcher if he's throwing strikes. But that's what Coach always said. It's you just got to throw strikes, limit free bases, and that's kind of what I did.
Evan and Caden, thank you very much for your time. Let's start with Aaron right here, and we'll go over here, then come back.
Aaron, 51 Baseball. Coach, you said earlier, Evan was Evan. And it's so easy to take that for granted when you got that guy who's just automatic all year long. But when you say Evan was Evan, what does that mean? Like, what makes Evan Evan? And I assume you don't take him for granted. How special is this to watch?
Yeah, I don't take him for granted. I've had some great relievers in the past, and he's right there up there with all of them. I think you just know that he's going to control his heartbeat, number one. The moment's never too big. He's going to be in the strike zone with at least 2 pitches. Usually 3, and if he gives up a hit like he did, or give up back-to-back hits to Amick and Dreiling, he doesn't panic. He just gets right back in the strike zone, and so at least my heart. I always measure a pitcher by what's my heart rate like when he pitches, and when he pitches, my heart rate is not good during most games, but when he pitches, it's way better. Same with Prager. Guys that fill up the strike zone and are going to give you a chance. Just give us a chance to catch the ball, especially against such a great offense. I mean, you got Tears sitting down there in the freaking, what is it, 6 hole, 7? I mean, wow, what a lineup. You can never feel good about it. But yeah, Evan is a great luxury for us to have that most teams don't. Well, championship teams do, but most teams don't get that.
Coach Travis Brown, College Station Eagle. How much of 2-strike hitting is taught, and how much of it, in your perspective, is just God-given talent?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's different offensive philosophies. We don't have any sort of 2-strike approach. There's nothing that we work on. It's just swing at strikes and take the balls, and that's the first thing we work on the very first day of fall practice. And a guy can hit a homer with 2 strikes like Caden did, just like he can with no strikes. So I'm not telling you that's the right way to do it. We strike out a lot. If the umpire does his job, most of our strikeouts, we'll swing and miss some, but a lot of our strikeouts are looking outside of SEC play because the umpiring isn't. I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't say that, but just if the umpire doesn't screw it up, we lead the nation in walks for a reason. We know the strike zone. And I think most college teams, Tennessee probably, the upper level college teams they're so well trained in the strike zone because we have TrackMan and hit track, all these things that we practice on every single day. And one thing I think we need to get to eventually in college baseball, I mean, the umpires aren't full-time umpires, but are the umpires training like the players so that we can have the same game? And but anyway, to answer your question, we don't have a real two-strike approach. It's just if it's a strike, you got to swing at it. And I think in a batting practice, sometimes when the ball, if they take a strike, that we say something to them. If they swing at a ball, we say something to them. And the compounding effect of that over time just leads us. We get in deep counts and hopefully take our walks, but can still fight and win with two strikes.
Richard Zane, Texas. Coach, we've heard you use your football analogy when it comes to three phases, that being pitching, defense, and timely hitting. So, in getting a game-one victory, how do you think your team fared in those three phases this evening?
Yeah, I thought we did really well. I thought obviously Prager was great. Stewie made the pitches he needed to make. The home run that got hit off of him, the wind was blowing. I'm not saying that guy didn't get it good, but if Jace wouldn't have ran to the wall, I think he might have caught that one too. But yeah, we pitched. I mean, you held maybe the best lineup in the country to 5 runs with the wind blowing out, and in such an awesome setting. I thought we caught the baseball well. Kent made some nice plays. Teddy made some nice plays, and then we got a lot of timely hits. We strung together some singles through the infield against a really good pitcher in Causey. So I think we had some luck too, which is part of the game.
Jacob Richmond, Lone Star Live. Coach, when you're recruiting guys like Caden and like Gavin, how much are you able to tell about composure and confidence? Obviously, their ability, but to come into this level of baseball and perform the way they are, how much are you able to gauge that early on?
You gauge it a little bit. Obviously, a guy like Kent grew up in a big league clubhouse, so most sons of major league players, and I've coached several. That's the one thing they handle it pretty well. Grahovic, son of a coach, been around high-level baseball. Those super high prospects these days, they play in big league parks and all their showcases, and so I think they're more prepared than players were 10, 15 years ago. But mental skills are something we practice. We invest a lot of time, effort, and money in mental skills. Mental skills can be practiced just like physical skills can be practiced. It's the very first thing we do when we take our hitters to the batting cage the first day of the fall is talk about their routine and the ability to handle moments and the ability to play the game pitch to pitch. And so that's why, when you play in the SEC and you play in Olsen Field in front of the 12th man, yes, it's the College World Series, it's the championship series, but if you're in our dugout, it literally doesn't feel any different. And I think that is intentional. I'm not saying Tennessee doesn't. I'm just saying we really, really, really try to coach that because you cannot be in control of your performance until you're in control of yourself, and that's the key to these games, in my opinion.
Okay, we got a lot of questions that I know everybody's got their hand.
Yeah, and the bus is right waiting.
Yeah, Jim. So when you talk to the team tonight, is there like a lesson that you learned from tonight, or is it just another game tomorrow night?
Yep. Yeah. There's I don't meet with teams after games unless we've lost a tough one or if I'm upset with them about something. I don't meet with teams after games. Haven't done that since 2013. We'll get on the bus. I'll congratulate them on a win. They know it's one game. We all know what's at stake. I mean, there's no Lombardi speech. There's no. We just try to keep them as loose as we can. We'll hit in the cages and get our ground balls tomorrow and play. And I know it sounds coachy, but if you start thinking about things other than that, Tennessee's going to blow you out of this ballpark. I mean, we're facing a great team and we're facing a great pitcher tomorrow, and I have no idea who we're going to pitch. So we'll put it together, but we'll just do what we do. That's all we can do.
You're right here.
Coach Ben Peck, NBC College Station. You talked about playing well, maybe lowering your heart rate a little bit. Just to see Gavin start off the game like that, how much does that help for kind of the whole clubhouse? Everyone take a breath, and then how do you kind of channel that moving forward? No, 2 runs in the first inning feel good, but as you mentioned, Tennessee, that lineup's so loaded.
Yeah, I mean, I think Chris with ESPN asked me before the game, what was one of the keys. I said, just getting through the first inning. I think for any pitcher in these moments, especially against the lineups, even though we scored the 2 runs, I was like, holy, you got to go face Christian Moore. He swings at the first pitch of the game almost every time. If it's a strike, he does huge damage to it. So you're constantly, you can't ever feel good about anything. But when you get 2-run little, okay, get some positive vibes in the dugout. That's why I kind of like actually being the visiting team in some of these big games, because you get to take the energy of the game into offense versus taking it on the field. I mean, on defense, that can be tough.
Okay, 2 more questions right here and right there.
Jim, Ryan came out, I think he had 5 runners in scoring position. They only scratched out 2 runs. They had 7 hits, and he threw 16 first pitch strikes. What are your thoughts on how good he was tonight?
Yeah, I thought he was great. You knew it wasn't going to be his very best stuff throwing on short rest. But Max has done such an unbelievable job with our pitching staff and getting them to believe in throwing the ball in the strike zone. That especially against Tennessee, there's going to be some damage, but you got to limit damage by not giving up free bases. And so, what did we walk? 3. Stewie walked 3, but we punched out 17 against a good offense. I think it's just truly committing to throwing the ball in the strike zone. And most young pitchers throw hard, but they don't throw strikes. And so, just the more strikes we throw, the limit free bases, the better chance our team has to win.
Okay, last question.
Jackson Reyes-Elmo, World Herald. You said yesterday that it would take a village to get through this series with your pitching staff, and you've touched on it a little bit tonight. But can you just talk about what you saw from your entire pitching staff and not having any crooked numbers on the scoreboard?
Well, they had the 1-3 spot, the back-to-back homers, and we pitched one guy that hadn't pitched in the weekend. Brad threw 2 strikes, and one of them got hit out. He threw 2 pitches, right? And both of them were strikes. So at least that gives us a chance. But we're going to need somebody other than, Stewart. I mean, obviously Cortez could be a part of it tomorrow, more than likely. Got to decide what we're going to do with Lampkin. But if we're going to get through this thing, there's going to be some guys that haven't pitched yet that are going to have to give us something. I thought Tony did an awesome job. And Frank, they always do an awesome job with their pitching staff. They get some guys some work. They still were able to keep the game somewhat close. So they're, Connell and, Cauley for sure can pitch again. I'm sure Stamos will be back at some point if they need him. So they have plenty of pitchings. We're going to have to match that.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you so much.